Ike Batista. In 2012, Batista was worth an estimated $30 billion, making him the 7th richest man in the world. But when Batista's oil company failed to meet demands and Brazil's economy slid into a decline, the billionaire filed for bankruptcy in 2013, after authorities began investigating why Brazil's top companies had declined so quickly. They charged Batista with money laundering and corruption in January 2017. Then in July 2018, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for bribing former Rio de Janeiro governor Sergio Cabral. Number 9, the Koch brothers. David and Charles, the brothers still with Koch Industries, are among the world's biggest polluters. Bill Koch, who split off from the family company, is a world-class weirdo who devotes himself to things like building a faux western town solely for his amusement and buying a $2 million photo of Billy the Kid. Though not as active in bankrolling GOP polls as his brothers, Bill was a big supporter of fellow 1% jerk Mitt Romney and has found time to fight against America's first offshore wind farm in Massachusetts. As for David and Charles, they have won a permanent spot in the Public Menace Hall of Fame, kicking their fellow human beings in the face with everything from funding climate change denial to strangling democracy. They have striven to reshape America into a Tea Party nightmare and have plenty of money to continue their mission. Number 8, Peter Peterson. Private equity mogul Pete Peterson, who founded the Blackstone Group with Steven Schwarzman, has a very straightforward agenda. He wants to kill Social Security and Medicare, the programs that keep millions of Americans out of poverty. His strategy is to channel gargantuan amounts of money into stoking nonsensical deficit hysteria. His focus on austerity policies, which have proved disastrous around the world, particularly in places like the UK, makes him an economic quack, but one who has found willing ears among fools and villains. Peterson has pushed his messaging into popular culture. He has held high-profile summits, and he has enlisted hordes of wealthy politicians, like Alan Simpson. He is a driving force behind the Fix the Debt campaign, a consortium of corporate bosses and rich individuals who have attempted to bring deficit scaremongering to DC in order to achieve cuts to vital programs and further strip hardworking Americans of their dignity. Number 7, Rupert Murdoch. Murdoch, the Australian media tycoon, has dedicated himself to coercing the public through the misinformation, intolerance, and contempt of ordinary people promoted through his News Corp. Politicians woo him for his cash and the vast influence of his newspapers, magazines, and TV networks, creating a foul nexus of influence that is corrosive to democracy. Be it union-busting, race-baiting, or monopolistic business practices, Murdoch has been there, done that. He's found himself embroiled in a hacking scandal in which employees of his newspaper were caught doing just about anything, including bribing police and hacking into the phone of an executed schoolgirl to get a story. Murdoch had previously tweeted what he considered a joke about an obese woman who fell through a New York sidewalk, asking if she got too fat from food stamps and welfare. Number 6, Steven Schwarzman. The Blackstone Group's co-founder Steven Schwarzman, described as private equity's designated villain in The New Yorker, is fond of throwing lavish parties for himself, including an infamous $3 million birthday feat in June 2007 at New York City's Park Avenue Armory. The party, which went down in history as a show-stopping chant to bad taste, featured a marching band of a 50-foot silkscreen recreation of Schwarzman-owned $40 billion apartment. Revelers included Bill Clinton and Cardinal Edward Egan, now considered a dark horse for the Pope. A couple of months later, the economy tanked thanks in part to the mismanagement and excess debt of the unregulated private equity firms that have served to weaken the real economy. Schwarzman captured headlines by comparing raising taxes on private equity fat cats like himself to Adolf's invasion of Poland. He's reportedly outraged that persons like himself have been the subject of contempt since the financial crisis. Number 5, Gina Rinehart. If there is a place for those who hate working people, Australian mining mogul Gina Rinehart occupies the innermost circle. The richest woman in the Asia-Pacific region likes to share her obscene philosophy of wealth, and had once made a case for $2 a day pay. She also instructed poor people to stop being jealous of the rich and to focus on working harder, and drinking and smoking less. She blamed Australia's economic problems on a socialist, anti-business agenda. But of course, Rinehart, who inherited a $30 billion fortune, has never had a real job. Number 4, Truett Cathy. While Chick-fil-A is perhaps best known for its crispy chicken sandwiches, the company is also known for its controversy surrounding LGBTQ+ rights. Chick-fil-A and its president Dan Cathy, whose current net worth is $5.2 billion, were scandalized after the company revealed its support for Christian organizations such as Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the Salvation Army, and the Paul Anderson Youth Home, which have all held anti-gay beliefs over the years. In 2012, Cathy gave an interview to the Baptist Press in which he said he believed in the, quote, biblical definition of the family unit. That is, that marriage should only be between a man and a woman. Backlash ensued, and while Kathy claimed it was his own personal religious belief and that the company did not have any anti-gay agenda, activists went as far as to boycott the chain entirely. The chain has since stopped donating to these organizations, choosing instead to donate to education, homeless, and hunger. Number 3, the Walton family. The Walton family is the richest in the US and heirs to the retail juggernaut Walmart. They collectively claim 0.14% of the country's entire wealth. Or to put it another way, they are worth as much as the bottom 41% of all Americans combined. Their legacy is a grotesque business model that depends on pushing down wages and sinking living standards for millions of Americans. Rob is the chairman of the board of directors of the company that pays its full-time hourly employees an average of $12.50 and has a policy of keeping them part-time so they don't even earn that. The Waltons are big-time funders of conservative causes, with special emphasis on undermining public education. Jim Moulton, who serves as a chairman for the Walton-owned Arvest Bank, is particularly active in injecting his family's ill-gotten gains into politics. Number 2, Leon Black. In October 2020, a New York Times report revealed that Black, the billionaire founder of private equity and investing firm Apollo Management, paid disgraced financier Jeffrey about $50 million for personal financial advice between 2012 and 2017. The time period is notable. It means Black engaged in Jeffrey's services long after he was convicted in 2008 of an underage intimacy charge in Florida, in a plea deal worked out between him and U.S. attorneys that enabled Jeff to serve that many believe was a light prison sentence in a county jail. Black quickly expressed regret for his association with Jeffrey since his 2019 arrest, said that Jeffrey never did business with Apollo, and claimed he was unaware of Jeff's alleged intimacy ring of underage girls. Number 1, Jacqueline Mars. Jacqueline Mars, the heiress to the Mars candy fortune and company co-owner, was involved in a 2013 car accident that took the life of a woman and an unborn child. The Washington Post reported that, according to authorities, Mars had told a witness at the scene of the accident that she had fallen asleep while driving. The victims in the accident were identified as 86-year-old grandmother named Irene, who was sitting in the back seat, and the unborn child of Ashley Aker Blakesley, the driver of the Chrysler minivan struck by Mars' Porsche SUV. 5 other passengers were later treated at the hospital. At the time, Mars was the second richest woman in the US with a net worth of $20.5 billion. Her net worth currently sits at $30.2 billion. She pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor reckless driving charge, resulting in 6-month suspension of her driver's license and a $2,500 fine. The Aker family said they never wished for Mars to spend time behind bars for the accident. "We have only forgiveness in our hearts for her," Sharon Aker, Ashley's mother, had said in a court statement. "My husband and I would like to say thank you to Miss Mars for her kindness thus far and hope in time that she too will find peace." Starting off this countdown at number 10, the Koch family. Fred C. Koch started America's largest private company, Koch Industries, when he co-founded the Wood River Oil and Refining Company in 1940. His son Charles took over as chairman and CEO after he passed in 1967. 3 of their sons, Frederick, David, and William, Bill, also inherited stakes. A power struggle among the brothers led to an ouster of Frederick and Bill, whose shares were reportedly bought out for nearly $800 million in 1983. Brothers Charles and David Koch expanded their father's oil refinery firm to combine Koch Industries after their other brothers, Frederick and William, left the business following a failed takeover. Today, Koch Industries generates roughly $100 billion in revenue annually. David Koch, who stepped down from a leadership position in the company in 2018, had pledged to contribute more than $1.2 billion to cancer research, hospitals, education, and cultural institutions through the David H. Koch Charitable Foundation. Both brothers also reportedly secretly funded some of the biggest summer movies of 2017, including Wonder Woman. Number 9, Carol Jenkins Barnett. Carol Jenkins Barnett, one of the 7 children of Publix supermarkets, founder George Jenkins, passed away in 2021 after she was diagnosed with younger onset Alzheimer's disease in 2016. Up until her diagnosis, Barnett was a board member at Publix and president of the supermarket chain's charitable arm. In addition to her service at Publix, Carol Jenkins Barnett made significant contributions to many nonprofit organizations and for the betterment of all children with investments in early childhood education programs, Publix CEO Todd Jones said in a statement. Barnett and her husband made large donations to Florida Southern College, where they attended, and the Lakeland Regional Health Medical Center. But when she passed away, there's still some money she didn't spend, so it was ultimately left behind. Number 8, the Butt family. Florence Butt founded H-E-B Grocery Store in Texas in 1905, when Florence Butt opened a small grocery store with just $60. Her son Howard expanded throughout the state when he took over the company in the 1920s, renaming it H.E. Butt Grocery Company in 1928. Howard's son Charles got his start at the bag boy at age 8 in the 1940s, and succeeded his father as CEO in 1971. His son Charles is a majority shareholder and currently runs the company, which has 400 stores in Texas and Mexico, that generates $25 billion in annual sales. His 2 siblings and 2 nephews also own stakes in HEB. Number 7. Sir David Barclay. British billionaire Sir David Barclay and his twin brother Sir Frederick were among the richest people in the UK, yet the family is notoriously secretive, going as far as buying a private island off the coast of France and building a Gothic-style castle there as their family compound. David passed from a, quote, short illness, his newspaper The Daily Telegraph had announced at the time. Together, the twin brothers had built $4 billion empire that included hotels and other media assets, such as The Telegraph, British Magazine, The Spectator, online retailer Very Group, and London Ritz's Hotel. Some cracks in the family partnership began to form in the months leading up to David's passing, however. In 2020, Frederick sued his nephew for allegedly bugging the Ritz Hotel to record his private conversations, thrusting the Presh-Tsai family into the public eye. After David's passing, both sides came to a settlement in the lawsuit in 2021. Number 6. The Gallo family. More than a dozen descendants of brothers Ernest and Julio Gallo inherited the California winery they founded in 1933. E&J Gallo Winery, the largest winemaker in the world, pulled in an estimated $5 billion in revenue in 2019. The Gallo family fortune is derived from a few avenues. The brothers founded the world's largest winemaker in Modesto, California. Their other brother Joseph assisted with the family business until he opened his first dairy company and sold cheese as Joseph Gallo Cheese. Ernest and Julio even won a bitter lawsuit in 1992 against their brother Joseph over his use of the Gallo name for his cheese business. His children now run Joseph Farms, while the descendants of Ernest and Julio run E&J Gallo Winery, which generates estimated annual revenues of $3.8 billion. The company, however, sells more than wine these days, having added liquor to the list as well, with the whole family's net worth being around $10.7 billion and sitting on 15,000 acres in the Central Valley of California. Number 5. The Mellon family. The Mellon family fortune originated when Thomas Mellon invested in coal and real estate in the 1860s. He was so successful he used the investment to become a judge and invested his income in real estate and later banking. He then left his fortune to his children to grow. Between his direct descendants and future generations, they did just that, investing in companies and later became Alcoa and Gulf Oil, and owning companies in media and the railroad industry. Matthew Mellon was the face of the family until his untimely passing in April 2018. Number 4. Eli Broad. Billionaire philanthropist Eli Broad amassed his fortune into the home building and insurance industries. He co-founded Kaufman and Broad in 1957, which went on to become one of the nation's biggest home builders with affordable tract homes. After that, he bought Sun Life Insurance and sold it to AIG for $18 billion in stock in 1998. Broad then passed after a long illness. He started 2 foundations with his fortune, the Broad Art Foundation and the Eli and Edith Broad Foundation, which have given out over $4 billion in grants supporting medical research, public education, and the arts. Broad was a prominent philanthropist in his hometown of Los Angeles, where he and his wife Edith saved the Angeles Museum of Contemporary Art during the financial crisis in 2008 with a $30 million grant, helped finance the Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles, and opened the Broad Museum, which showcases their personal contemporary art collection. Number 3. Sheldon Adelson. Republican kingmaker and casino magnate Sheldon Adelson built a gambling empire with high-end casinos and resorts in Las Vegas, Singapore, and Macau, amassing an estimated $35 billion fortune that made him the 19th richest person in the world at the time of his passing. Sheldon held his fortune as a Republican mega donor and power broker, pouring millions into supporting Newt Gingrich, Mitt Romney, Donald Trump, and other Republican candidates. During his lifetime, Sheldon and his wife Miriam gave more than $500 million to conservative campaigns and causes. Miriam now owns her late husband's nearly 50% stake in the Las Vegas Sands. In March 2021, 2 months after Sheldon passed, the company agreed to sell its assets on the Strip, including the Venetian Resort and the Sands Expo and Convention Center in Las Vegas, for $6.25 billion in a bid to focus on the Asia market. Number 2. The Duncan family. Dan L. Duncan founded gas and oil company Enterprise Products Partners in 1968 with just $10,000. Before striking gold in pipelines, Dan grew up poor in rural Texas and was raised by his grandmother after losing his mother at age 7. After he passed away in 2010, the company remained under family control and his 4 children inherited a $10 billion estate. The family fortune has since more than doubled, with a net worth now of around $24.8 billion. Randa is now the only one of Dan's children with a role in the company, serving as chairman of the board since 2013. Now coming in at number 1. When you hear the word Mars, one of 2 things probably come to mind. 1 being the planet Mars and 2 being the candy Mars bar. Well, that's the one I'm talking about. Some family members work at the company and serve on the board of directors. Mars was founded in 1911 when Frank Mars started selling candy out of his kitchen in Tacoma, Washington. Frank's son, Forrest Sr., joined the company in 1929 and helped his father develop the malt-flavored nougat that became the basis of the Milky Way. A multi-generational family business that is widely popular today. The company is better known for making M&Ms than it is for Mars bars now. In 2017, the world's largest candy company diversified with the purchase of VCA, which is a pet care company, for $9.1 billion. Siblings Jacqueline and John Mars, whose grandfather Frank Mars founded the company, each has a net worth of $31.7 billion. The company is now being run by some of their children, the fourth generation of the Mars family members. Starting off this countdown, number 10, pursue your passion. Rich people get rich when they do something they are passionate about. And if you don't love what you do, you won't put in the time and effort needed to become successful. Jim Koch traded in a stable job at the Boston Consulting Group in 1984 to start Boston Beer Co., the business that created Samuel Adams' Boston Lager. Koch was driven by his personal love of beer to start the now multi-million-dollar business. The most common thing I remind people of is to only pursue something you love, because a small business is going to be very demanding of your time, your energy. It just eats your life, Koch told Business Insider. And if you're doing something you love, then you will accept and even enjoy that. If you're just doing it to get rich, you're going to lose heart. Number 9, use other people's money. To the average person, the old saying that it takes money to make money might sound like a tired cliche used to justify irrational spending. For the wealthy, however, it's a golden rule. The key is leveraging other people's money to increase your own wealth. Trading time for dollars is a loser's game, especially as technology destroys many jobs that don't require a highly skilled human being, someone has said. Using money from banks or investors and hiring people to work for you is a time-tested formula for building wealth. Not to mention the tax laws, which heavily favor businesses. Whether you're fundraising to start a business or flipping real estate for a profit, relying on other people's money to do the heavy lifting greatly increases the return. Of course, it's also riskier than relying on your own funds, but as legendary investor Warren Buffett once put it, risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Number 8, don't waste money to impress others. Most rich people don't spend their time and money trying to impress others, someone said. They are not in a race. They know they have made it, so their attention is not what others think. In fact, many wealthy individuals wouldn't have become rich if they had spent their hard-earned money buying things to keep up with others. Authors Thomas Stanley and William Danko said much the same thing in their 1996 bestseller, The Millionaire Next Door: The Surprising Secret of America's Wealthy, writing that a couple of key secrets of the country's richest people are living below their means and rejecting big spending lifestyles. Spending money to appear rich before you actually are rich is a surefire way to sabotage your wealth-building goals, so focus on what matters, accumulating wealth in the coming years. Number 7, donate to charitable causes. Wealthy individuals know that donating to charity doesn't only help the world at large, it also helps their finances. If you analyze your tax return rather than take the standard deduction, you can deduct charitable contributions to qualified organizations. The more you deduct, the more you reduce your taxable income. Charitable giving is an excellent tool to mitigate tax consequences, someone said. The wealthy know this, and you don't have to be wealthy to do it. Whether you write a check to your favorite charity or donate clothes you no longer wear to Goodwill, hang on to your receipts and claim your charitable deduction. Or be more strategic with your giving by setting up a donor-advised fund, they continue. These simple low-cost funds are available through investment firms and let you get a tax deduction at the time you set aside money in that account. You can then make grants by following your own time schedule. Number 6, save first, spend later. In Warren Buffett's words, if you buy things you don't need, you will soon sell things you need. This is exactly why most of the rich people save first and spend later. So stop cribbing about your inability to save and get rid of excuses like insufficient income, high expenses, or the no compromise policy on fulfillment of the YOLO, you only live once motto. The key to saving lives is in the habit of saving first and spending later. Every month, set aside a part of your income as your savings. It can be 20%, 30%, or 50%, any percentage to begin with. Just ensure to be disciplined and stay true to the habit. And remember that whenever your income rises, increase the proportion of savings, instead of spiking up your spends upon obtaining more money. Number 5, know what you're paying in investment fees. The rich also pay attention to investment fees, something many others overlook. For example, more than half of workers don't know they're paying fees on their workplace retirement savings account, according to a study by the National Association of Retirement Plan Participants. Yet those fees can eat away at your returns. The more you're paying in mutual fund fees or transaction fees means less money in your pocket, someone said. Even small fees can have a big impact. If you invest $100,000 over 20 years and pay a 1% annual fee, your portfolio value will be around $30,000 less than if you had paid a 0.25% annual fee, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission's Office of Investor Education and Advocacy. Check your account statement to see what fees you're paying. If they seem high, the SEC recommends asking whether the cost can be reduced. You also should shop around for accounts and investment firms with low fees, which can help you keep more of the money you worked hard to save. Number 4, pen down your thoughts every day. Before this digital world bombarded everyone's lives, remember the age-old tradition way of journaling each and every day by writing it down with pen and paper? That is in fact amongst the most common habits which many rich and successful people follow. When you write and not type every day, you reflect upon your thoughts, slow down and train the mind to think coherently. This way, penning down your thoughts and experiences each day enables you to reflect on how your day went, what you could have done differently, and what learning got you from little or big experiences that day. It's completely fine if you wish to type an online blog or journal instead of penning it down. Either way, it's all about allowing yourself to reflect upon your thoughts and actions peacefully. Number 3, choose the right retirement savings account. You can earn tax benefits by contributing to a 401k or similar plan because contributions come out of your paycheck before taxes, lowering your taxable income, and the money grows tax deferred. When you withdraw that money in retirement, however, it will be taxed at your regular income tax rate, which is currently as high as 37% for the wealthiest taxpayers. You don't get any tax breaks by investing in stocks, bonds, or mutual funds through a brokerage account. But if you hold these investments for more than a year, they'll be taxed at a long-term capital gains rate, which ranges from 0% to 20%, but tops out at 15% for most taxpayers. The types of investments you have in your accounts can have a dramatic effect on your long-term returns, someone said. Typically, it's best to keep securities such as bonds, mutual funds, and dividend paying stocks in tax-deferred retirement savings accounts. Then keep your individual stocks in brokerage accounts. Number 2, they invest. Once building up an emergency fund, people say their clients have organized investment plans, whether it's in stocks, bonds, or exchange-traded funds, ETFs. It's suggested setting up a monthly or bi-monthly automatic transfer of cash from your checking account into an investment account. This way you can forget about having to remember to manually invest, and you can then learn to live on the funds you have available. Most of my clients do not miss having that money in their cash flow, and then they can use those invested savings for future car purchases, vacations, or other short or long-term goals, without incurring additional debt, someone said. As a general rule of thumb, you should save at least roughly 20% of your income each month. And what the person said before agrees. This 20% goes towards your saving plans, emergency fund, retirement, and investments. How much you take out of your paycheck to invest depends heavily on your income and investment goals. But getting used to living without that 20% is a good start for both your savings and your investments. Now, coming in at number 1, you can buy an apartment building even if you're not rich. The years since the pandemic started have been a roller coaster. Historically though, real estate investing offers the best long-term returns. Some people have said that they like investing with the company Diversity Fund. They supposedly help you make long-term investments in apartments and office buildings all over the country, and you don't have to be a millionaire. And you can also get started with only $500. You can see exactly which properties are included in your portfolios, like a 200-unit apartment complex in Texas or a 59-unit building in San Diego. And you don't have to be the landlord. Because they know how to ride at the market's ups and downs, they historically have seen annual returns of 70% to 18%, though they can't make any promises. As a partial owner, you can make money on rent payments and when property values go up. Number 10, offshore accounts. No list of the many ways the rich hide their money wouldn't be complete without mentioning notorious offshore bank accounts, such as those commonly used in the Cayman Islands, Switzerland, and Singapore. According to Pedro Costa, writing for Business Insider, the ultra-wealthy currently have around 10% of the global gross domestic product hidden away in offshore tax havens. Such tax havens, which often enable the wealthy to get out of paying their fair share of taxes, can contribute to income inequality in both the United States and around the globe. And here's a little tidbit. By 2017, the United States had returned to roughly the same income inequality levels seen in this country during the Great Depression. While offshore accounts aren't illegal in and of themselves, they cross the line where people set themselves up for the purpose of tax evasion. Number 9, business deductions. Starting a business or multiple businesses is a common way the rich aim to reduce their tax liability. But you don't have to be wealthy to use this method, notes John Dullen, founder of Money Smart Guides. If you're wanting to give entrepreneurship a try or even formalize a side hustle, this may be a good option. Of course, you have to go through the proper channels first. Creating a legal business entity typically requires a simple visit to the websites of your Secretary of State and the IRS. Once you establish your business, tax deductions are just one of the benefits you may be able to enjoy. For starters, you can write off losses the business incurs in the beginning, and then use business expenses to offset business income to lower taxable income, John says. Additionally, you can put money into tax-deferred accounts like solo 401k plans, which allow the business owner to save a lot more than traditional 401k plans, since you're contributing both as the employer and the employee. Number 8, shell companies. You've likely heard about shell companies, but what are they exactly? A shell company is a business without operations or sizable assets of its own. Yet despite their shady nature, shell companies are sometimes legal. For example, an American business might establish a shell company when it wants to operate manufacturing plants in a foreign country. However, they frequently cross the line. An anonymous shell company, for example, can hide the assets of a business or an individual from the IRS, law enforcement, a spouse, creditors, and more. According to the nonprofit organization Americans for Tax Fairness, shell companies and other tax loopholes help U.S. corporations avoid paying as much as $90 billion per year in taxes to the IRS. Number 7, hiring family members. Another tactic the rich often use to shield income from taxes requires getting the family involved. If you have a business, you can use this strategy to your advantage too, by hiring your spouse or your children and paying them a salary. The IRS even says that one of the advantages of operating your own business is hiring family members. So how does this help you exactly? Your business gets a write-off, John explained, and your spouse or child can put the money into tax-deferred accounts. These accounts may further protect your money from taxes. Just be sure to follow the rules, like withholding any necessary payroll taxes. Number 6, donor-advised funds. People know that donating to charity can both benefit others and help you lower your taxes. Donor-advised funds are a next-level approach to charitable giving that can offer even bigger tax benefits. Donor-advised funds are like a personal charitable savings account used by the wealthy, says Scott Henderson, an accredited financial counselor and the creator of Simply Finances. The money you contribute to a DAF is tax deductible, and the money has to go to a charity eventually. For example, you could contribute $10,000 to a DAF this year and receive an immediate tax deduction. But you could let the money sit there until 2030 and then choose to send it to a charity of your choice. When you put your money into a DAF, it's not yours anymore. However, it has the opportunity to grow over time and multiply your giving capability even more in the future. Number 5, real estate tax deferment. When the wealthy sell an investment property, like a vacation home, they may use another tool to help them pay less to the IRS. Jim Wang, founder of Best Wallet Hacks, explains how a 1031 exchange may help you put off the cost of capital gains taxes when you sell an investment property. If you purchase a like-kind property, you can defer capital gains on the sale of investment real estate. The logic behind this deferment is that you're swapping one investment for another, so the IRS lets you defer the gains. If you want to defer your gains and postpone paying taxes on them, you'll need to complete a 1031 exchange. Eventually, you'll have to realize those gains. But until then, you can keep exchanging and grow your real estate portfolio without the pesky tax hit after every sale. At present, there is no limit on the number of times you can take advantage of this special tax deferment. Number 4, sparkling assets. Natalie Pine, a certified financial planner and managing partner with Briod Financial Advisors, sheds light on a shady practice that some dishonest rich people use to stiff the IRS. This illegal method starts with buying expensive jewelry. I've heard of people buying diamonds, in particular, and passing those on to children without filing any gift tax return or estate tax return, says Pine. They are small items that transfer easily unnoticed. There are no specifics listed on the inventory for the IRS to refute unless they audit the individual couple. Of course, Pine does not advise breaking the law in this way to avoid taxes under any circumstance. To be very clear, she says, "We have never done this, nor do we recommend it, but it is a free country, so you can still do it if you want." Number 3, life insurance. Permanent cash value life insurance, like whole life insurance or universal life insurance, is another place the rich put their money. Chris Abrams, founder of Abrams Insurance Solutions, says life insurance is an excellent way to eliminate the tax and market risk present in other assets or investments. Contributions are not limited by the government, like with 401ks and other qualified plans, Abrams explained. He also points out that when you take money out of your life insurance policy, you can remove it as a tax-free loan against your policy's passing benefit. Since it is a life insurance policy, there is still a death benefit if something unexpected happens. Of course, there is some risk involved. If you pass away while you have an outstanding loan against your life insurance policy, the insurance company will take the debt you owe out of your passing benefit before distributing any remaining funds to your beneficiaries. Also, if you borrow more money than paid into the policy in the form of premiums, those funds may be subject to income tax. Number 2, playing hide and seek with Uncle Sam. No one enjoys paying taxes, so no matter your income level, searching for new tax breaks can be a wise use of your time and energy. The ultra-wealthy, however, sometimes take steering clear of taxes to another level. Former Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers, along with finance professor Natasha Sarin, recently released a research paper with some eye-opening claims. According to Summers and Sarin, the top 1% of taxpayers are projected to avoid more than $5 trillion in taxes between 2020 and 2029. Of course, the legal tax reduction strategies used by rich people are worth reviewing and utilizing when possible, but it is not a bad idea to learn about the illegal methods as well well so you can avoid them and their potential consequences. Number 1. Vacation homes. Vacation homes are another way the rich may opt to shield cash from the government, says realtor Brian Vance, founder of Bucks and Cents. Vance explains that with the recent increase of the standard deduction, a lot of homeowners no longer itemize popular items such as mortgage interest on their primary residence. State and local income taxes along with property taxes are limited to $10,000 if you opt to itemize. But that's not the case with a vacation home. Should you choose to let others stay there, Vance says, rent your vacation home for less than 14 days a year, and the rent you earn is usually tax-free. Rent at the house for more than 14 days a year, and you can deduct expenses, mortgage interest, property taxes, maintenance, depreciation, etc. But that is all. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Number 10. Kylie Jenner. The US Business magazine estimated Jenner's net worth at $1 billion and claims she was the world's youngest self-made billionaire at the age of 21 in March 2019. Forbes later released a statement accusing the makeup mogul of forging tax documents so she would appear to be a billionaire, and claims she fabricated revenue figures for her cosmetics business, Kylie Cosmetics. Jenner seemed taken aback by the claims and tweeted that the magazine had published, quote, inaccurate statements and unproven assumptions, and denied forging any documents. The magazine adds that a more realistic accounting of her personal fortune puts it at just under $900 million, which is still a lot of money, but it's not $1 billion. Number 9. Sean Kingston. The Jamaican-American singer achieved fame as soon as he stepped into the limelight when he released the single Beautiful Girls. Since then, it's fair to assume people haven't heard a whole lot about Sean, who's still trying to recreate that success. Well, back then, being one of the biggest stars around, you'd think it would be easy for him to try and impress beautiful girls. You'd think he'd have women falling at his feet due to his superstar status. Perhaps he did, but Sean still played fast and loose with the truth and still felt he needed to add to his image. He was found out lying to a date when he revealed to the paparazzi that he had owned a sports car given to him by Justin Bieber. They later discovered after some digging that Bieber had only lent him the wheels for a matter of days. Probably to impress his date, but we're not sure. Number 8. Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker was once one of Hollywood's top men. Once upon a time, he was ranking it in. At the height of his powers, he was earning $25 million for films like Rush Hour 3, despite that film being a major flop. His comedic timing and general funny man persona meant he was loved by one and all. The once bankable star, despite still living the high life, soon went broke. He blames this on a number of things. Firstly, he had tax problems and had to shell out millions to the taxman. But secondly, he became a born-again Christian. This meant that he became very choosy with the roles that were offered to him. Almost all were too inappropriate for him and didn't sit well with him on his mission of wanting to be closer to God. But many would say he's been using this as an excuse and that he's been lying about this aspect of his lifestyle. He said he was going to keep his comedy clean, but anyone who's seen his work recently would know that that's not the case. Number 7. Britney Spears. Britney Spears was a superstar singer who ruled the pop world during the late 90s and early 2000s. And today she's still around doing her thing, but has gone through plenty of issues since her initial rise to fame. And it's safe to say that she's no longer the pop princess she once was. There are plenty of people who say that everything about Britney Spears is fake, from her look to her voice, music, lifestyle, and just overall personality. Everything about Britney is an illusion for the media. After her golden period, she went on a hiatus, and that's when she was dealing with plenty of things. When Sam Lutfi was her manager, she was still acting like a pop princess, but was seriously hemorrhaging money. She was hardly earning during this time, but was spending what cash she had on anything and everything. Cars, homes, shopping, you name it, she splurged on it. Britney was broke, yet was spending a whopping $700,000 a month. She was caught when it was discovered her dad had to step in and help her get a grip. Number 6. Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton has been caught faking an aspect of her persona. Well, she was caught because she chose to come out with it herself and reveal everything. We probably all know that Paris lives a life of luxury. She's an heiress to a fortune and is basically famous for being famous and flaunting her cash. Kinda like the Kardashians. But there's an aspect of her lifestyle that she has faked. Remember when Paris Hilton first did reality TV along with her best buddy Nicole Richie? They were a part of The Simple Life in the early 2000s. And it's fairly self-explanatory from the title. It's about the two getting to grips with the normal life, so-called simple life. Nicole was the troublemaker and Paris portrayed the young, dumb, ditzy blonde. Apparently, it was all staged. Paris was asked to portray that character and due to the success of the show, went along with it for the next 5 years. Number 5, 50 Cent. If you think about some of the wealthiest rappers in the world, you'd have to assume that 50 Cent would feature on that list. He's had a string of successful hit singles, was a movie star, boxing promoter, and can add businessman to that list too. But some of his business decisions and financial planning have gone south, leaving 50 Cent in debt. At one point, he was broke and filed for bankruptcy. It was then that we realized that the whole image he was portraying and the lifestyle he claimed to be leading at the time was fake. He also had other money issues too, and was ordered to pay back some of his debts because it was thought, judging by his lifestyle, that he could afford to do so. That's when he pulled back the curtain and revealed his lifestyle was an illusion. His gold chains were recycled, cars were rentals, and he lied about placing $1 million bets on boxing fights, and the list just goes on and on and on. Number 4, Sean Combs. This guy is probably the only other person who can rival Jay-Z. When it comes to the money side of things, Sean Combs has earned his fortune as a rapper, singer, songwriter, actor, record producer, and entrepreneur. He's made some savvy decisions and it's led to him acquiring a vast sum of wealth. It seems like rappers just love lying about private jets they supposedly own. Combs can certainly afford his own private jet, and does have one now, one that's actually his. But even he, once upon a time, lied about owning a private jet. He once said that he owned one, but didn't use it regularly because of the sky-high prices of fuel. I mean, accurate, but it wasn't true. At the time he said that, of course people began doing some digging. And it wasn't long before it was discovered that he'd rented a jet by the hour and didn't actually own one. Number 3, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan has been through a lot, and she's still relatively young. But as she rose through the ranks and got older, she struggled to deal with the fame, fortune, and everything that being a celebrity entails. Her downward spiral was dramatic, and she's still struggling to find her feet again on the Hollywood scene. Although it was evident she was going through numerous problems, Lindsay tried to hide it as best she could, although she didn't do a very good job at it. She was broke and filed for bankruptcy, yet she was still living in her plush accommodation, dining in seriously fancy restaurants, etc. She has also been caught lying about other aspects of her life, many think just to keep herself relevant in the eyes of the media. Wild stories about her crop up time and time again, and sources close to Lindsay have revealed they're all lies. Number 2, Chloe Khan. Nowadays, you really can become a celebrity for doing anything, so as long as your face gets picked up, you get a little bit of popularity, you can build upon that. That's exactly what Chloe Khan did. She may not be too familiar to those outside of the UK, but on British shores, she's created quite a name for herself. Her rise to fame began when she unsuccessfully auditioned for the show The X Factor. Now, most people would just disappear after achieving their 5 minutes of fame, but not Chloe. She gained a bit of popularity and this just grew. She then achieved fame after dating John Gray, and subsequently becoming the face of the chain of clubs. Chloe has also achieved webcam success and has launched a premium social club fans-only site. She's been dubbed the Millionaire Princess, but her luxurious lifestyle is all an illusion. For example, she claims she owns a mansion. It's been discovered, however, that the mansion consists of apartments, and she only rents out one of them. She's told people the fancy car she owns was bought with her hard-earned cash. Then she told other people it was a freebie for promotion purposes. Now coming in at number 1, Justin Bieber. If anyone in the singing profession could afford to buy a private jet, it'd be Justin Bieber. The guy's been continuously racking it in from a relatively young age, and he's one of the highest paid singers around. He's also someone who loves to splash on the cash. What he spent with his money on is a subject that often warrants plenty of attention from the media. He spent his cash on the usual things such as parties, cars, and houses, and I suppose buying a private jet is usual when it comes to a superstar singers in his line of work. Or he wanted everybody to think so anyway. Posting a picture one Christmas casually announcing he bought himself a little Christmas present in the shape of a private jet. But as soon as he posted that photo, TMZ began doing their homework. They discovered that the jet was basically a rental, and it wasn't long before people began getting on his back. But that is all, thanks for watching.